Psalm 27-14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. Isaiah 40-31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Psalm 37-7. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently. For him do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Isaiah 30-18. Yet the Lord longs to be gracious to you. Therefore he will rise up to show you compassion. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him. Lamentations 3:25-26. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him. To the one who seeks him, it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. James 5:7-8. Be patient, then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Psalm 62-5. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Galatians 6-9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Micah 7-7. But as for me, I watch in hope for the Lord. I wait for God my Savior. My God will hear me. Romans 8:25. But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. Psalm 33-22. We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. May your unfailing love be with us, Lord, even as we put our hope in you. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. The story of Joseph. In the ancient land of Canaan, there lived a young man named Joseph. He was the 11th son of Jacob, also known as Israel, and he was his father's favorite. Jacob made him a richly ornamented robe, which fueled the envy and jealousy of his older brothers. Joseph had dreams that suggested he would one day rise to a position of great power and that his family would bow down to him. When he shared these dreams with his brothers, their jealousy turned into hatred. They plotted against him and eventually sold him into slavery to a caravan of Ishmaelites on their way to Egypt. They deceived their father by showing him Joseph's robe, now stained with goat's blood, leading Jacob to believe that a wild animal had killed Joseph. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Despite his dire circumstances, Joseph's faith in God never wavered. He worked diligently, and God's favor was upon him. Potiphar noticed Joseph's hard work and trustworthiness, so he put him in charge of his entire household. However, trouble struck again when Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of attempting to assault her after he resisted her advances. Joseph was thrown into prison, an apparent setback that tested his patience and faith even further. Yet, even in prison, Joseph remained faithful and industrious. The prison warden saw this and put him in charge of all the prisoners. While in prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams of two of Pharaoh's officials who had been imprisoned, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Joseph's interpretations proved accurate. The cupbearer was restored to his position, and the baker was executed. Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him and speak to Pharaoh on his behalf. But the cupbearer forgot about Joseph for 2 more years. Then Pharaoh himself had troubling dreams and none of his magicians or wise men could interpret. The cupbearer then remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about him. Joseph was brought before Pharaoh, and with God's help, he interpreted the dreams, predicting 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of severe famine. He also provided wise counsel on how to prepare for the coming years. Pharaoh was impressed and appointed Joseph as his second in command, putting him in charge of the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered Pharaoh's service. For the next 7 years, Joseph oversaw the storage of surplus grain in preparation for the famine. When the famine struck, Egypt was ready, and people from surrounding lands came to buy grain from Joseph. Among those who came to Egypt for help were Joseph's brothers. They did not recognize him, but Joseph recognized them. After testing their characters and seeing their remorse for their past actions, Joseph revealed his identity. His brothers were terrified, thinking he would seek revenge, but Joseph reassured them. He saw God's hand in all that had happened, telling them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50-20, NIV. Joseph's story is a profound example of waiting for the right time. Despite betrayal, false accusations, and years of imprisonment, Joseph trusted in God's timing. His patience and faith were ultimately rewarded, not only in his personal elevation, but in his role in saving many lives, including those of his family. Joseph's journey teaches us that even in the midst of hardships and delays, God's plan is at work. Patience, faith, and perseverance are crucial as we wait for the right time, trusting that God's timing is always perfect.